All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have a special guest with me. Her name is Michelle Sugiyama of Mindful Eating. And the reason I wanted to have Michelle on today was to talk about how stress in our relationships, especially when we're talking about a breakup or an ended one, can affect your lifestyle. And so, welcome, Michelle. You have a business called Mindful Eating. Tell us a little bit about what you help people with.
Sure. Hi, Emmy. It's so great to be with you today, and it's an honor. Um, I absolutely love to help people reach their healthiest and best self. I love to bridge that gap, right, between knowing you should be healthy and actually doing it. And a lot of times when you're under a lot of stress, especially with a breakup or the end of a relationship that you've been in a while, it just causes a lot of stress. And stress can wreak havoc on our daily life and our health.
In so many ways, right? And
Mm.
that's what we're going to be discussing together. So, you and I had connected and we kind of hit it off because even though we kind of deal in different topics, they completely overlap. I'm sure anyone who's gone through any kind of stress, especially a breakup, knows that it can affect lots of different things about your lifestyle. So, today in particular, we're going to do actually a three-part little mini series here. And today we're going to tackle the eating aspect and food, right? The things that we're reaching for, what our behaviors might end up being when we're stressed out, and how that's going to affect our body and our ability to cope and either be healthy or kind of downward spiral,
Mhm.
right? So, I thought both of us thought it would be helpful to kind of start off with our stories around how our lifestyles were affected in times of stress. So, Michelle, do you want to start with yours?
Sure, I can totally start. So, with 100% complete transparency, on and off for about 15 years, I suffered from an eating disorder. And wow, I was just going through, these ups and downs, and a lot of it had to do with my emotional wellness. I mean, we have, this wheel of wellness, right? It's just not physical wellness, which is our sleep and our nutrition and our exercise, but we have all these other dimensions. And one dimension is emotional wellness. And when we are affected in, let's say, emotional wellness, it can really affect the other dimensions. A lot of times it is nutrition, sleep, and physical activity. So when I was going through these, downward spirals of emotional wellness, right, I felt stressed, depressed, anxious, frustrated. Sometimes my world just felt like it was breaking apart. And like a lot of people, I would grab for food to comfort my stress. And I can admit I was a challenged eater for many years. And I don't even want to say a mindless eater, right? But I was just challenged. And so that's why a lot of times, I focus on and named my company Mindful Eating, right? Because it is so important just to be mindful about many things, and especially when it comes to our health.
Yeah. And so, did you see any physical results from that eating where you were maybe were you overeating? Were you choosing things that are unhealthy? Like, tell us a little bit about the effects of what that caused.
Yeah. So it's, anywhere from binge eating. And then oftentimes, because I just had a client the other day, she found out because she did her wellness wheel, she found out she was either overeating, right? Binge eating or overeating, grabbing for unhealthy food because it's quote unquote comfort food, or not eating. So it's dynamic. It's a dynamic kind of flow. It's not just maybe one or the other, but it's both. And it depends on where that stress is, how it's affecting you, right? So a lot of times, I would binge eat, overeat, grab for unhealthy comfort food. And of course, the pounds can start to come on. You're not getting the nutrients that your body needs to heal and protect, right, at a cellular level. And, my hair was like really dry. I was getting split ends. I had ridges in my fingernails, along with some weight gain. And the energy level just drops, right? And focus, because we need to have good nutrition for all of these things to happen, to be at that healthiest state.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up because my experience was a little bit of the opposite when I was super stressed out all the time, in an on and off relationship. I was going through breakups with the same person over and over. Um, it actually curbed my hunger, because I was so anxious all the time that I just wasn't hungry. I didn't feel like eating. So I wasn't consciously doing it, but I was eating way less. And I did end up, as a result, like dropping, clothing sizes when I wasn't meaning to. And I'm sure that was also a stress response from my body, producing a lot of the hormone cortisol, which is like produced from stress. And so all of that kind of culminated in, funny you mentioned your hair, like hair falling out, brittle nails. And when you mentioned I wasn't getting the nutrients that my body needed, we can think of that in terms of reaching for junk food. Yeah, it's filling you, but it's not really giving, it's empty calories, right? And then I wasn't getting the nutrients I needed either because I wasn't consuming enough food and enough healthy food. So those are kind of our backgrounds around our experience with how the stress impacted our eating habits. What tips can you share with us today that maybe you help your clients with or around this topic, that can be almost a launch point for people to become more mindful about what they're doing? I'm sure so many people can relate to this. Like, you see it even in movies all the time. It's like someone goes through a breakup, it's like boom, you're on the couch with ice cream, binging on Ben and Jerry's for like days at a time. You don't want to emerge from that state. So give us some tips of how we can start to crawl out of that space.
Sure. And I'm also going to add Ben and Jerry's or alcohol. So a
Oh
lot of
gosh,
times
yeah.
people go towards the alcohol because it just numbs those emotions, right? And then sometimes then you come out of it and it's even deeper. Your emotions get even bigger and deeper.
Mhm.
So some tips. And mindful eating actually starts before you put anything in your mouth or even grab for food. So mindfulness in general is just being aware, being present in the moment without judgment, right? Because a lot of times who judges us the most? It's actually ourselves, right? So I think the very first thing is to really be aware and be present with that emotion and name it, right? Because if you name your emotion, you can actually decrease its power. Because back in the day, what I was doing is, yeah, I was having all those emotions. Let's say it was depression or anxiety, right? And I was in this state of mind where it's just like, oh my gosh, and then I would just grab for something, grab for food, grab for chips, grab for something salty, because if it was salty and crunchy, it was twice its nice, right? So name it. And then, you know, think about some things that are helpful substitutes for food. And what I like to tell my clients to do are three things, and that's walk, talk, or relax. Three simple things. Walking could just be walking around your workplace, walking down the stairs up and down of your house, or walking around your house. It doesn't have to be these long bouts of exercise, because you're getting your blood flowing, you're getting your endorphins going, and it's bringing you down. It's a relaxing kind of state when you do some kind of physical activity, and walking is great for you. Talking could be, calling up a great friend or a family member, and that that you're going to have a good conversation with, of course, to get you out of maybe a strong emotional negative, a negative emotion. Or it could be a therapist if you're, going to therapy. Relaxing could be listening to music, journaling, reading a book for pleasure, because we were talking about that earlier, right? I mean, reading a
Yep.
book for self-help versus, something just for pleasure.
Mhm.
So those are some really quick three tips.
I love those tips. And you bringing up taking a walk, it makes me think of every time I do a workout, um, or, any kind of movement, I always feel less hungry after. I don't know if this is like a universal feeling, if you feel that way, but I definitely notice it. So even in times when I'm feeling super sludgy, have no motivation to do anything, if I choose movement, even for like a vigorous 5 minutes, I notice that not only do I have more energy, but also that urge to like want to eat something, especially unhealthy, tends to subside.
Absolutely. Yep. And a lot of times it does happen to people where they're not hungry for a certain period of time. But of course, when your blood sugar levels kind of fluctuate, that's going to be an indication. It's, a physical indication when your blood sugar decreases. Okay, it's time for me to eat.
Mhm. Right. Yeah. And I mean, I was a teacher for many years, and I remember, like, oh, you want to go for that snack drawer, right? When you're getting like down in the day. But really all it sometimes it took was like a brisk walk around the hallway, to kind of wake up and, remind your body that you have other options.
Absolutely.
So I also love the idea of some of the examples you gave for relax, because if anyone's watching doesn't know, I'm a breakup coach and I help people manage their and process their experiences around breakups or getting over your ex or whatever, and lots of emotions come up around that. And so, like you said, when you name your emotion, and also being okay with that emotion being there, momentarily, like not judging yourself, or especially if you're reaching for a food item and you say, oh, like I'm so this, or I shouldn't do that. Like, just in the moment, try to not judge yourself for how you're feeling or what you want to do, and just let it be there. But then also know that in the moment you can make a different choice that will support, where you actually want to be.
Absolutely. Yes. It's all about deciding, right? Making choices.
Yeah. Um, so do you have any kind of last thoughts on this topic? Because we have some other topics that we'll head into in different videos, around, um, eating habits and kind of taking control of your own habits to nurture your mental and physical health.
Oh, wow. There are, a lot more tips, and, it's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. We could probably talk about this for a long time.
Mhm.
So I think, let's just keep going with some topics because I think some people want to hear about some other stuff.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay. So in our next video, we can kind of look forward to another aspect of lifestyle that gets affected when you are overwhelmed with stress, specifically due to a relationship or a breakup. And we will tackle those tips and signs in our next video. So before we go, just in case people want to find you, Michelle, to maybe work with you in your mindful eating, what is your contact info?
Sure. So my URL, my website is www.mindful hyphen or a dash eating.com, mindful-eating.com. And you can also just look me up on LinkedIn, Michelle Sugiyama. I know it's kind of a difficult name to spell. Sugiyama, Sugiyama. You find me very easily there. I'm on Facebook. I know I'm not super active with my business Facebook page, but that will change eventually. Yeah, and I just really look forward to doing more videos and maybe getting in contact with some of your clients or people who are interested in mindful eating.
Yeah, because diet, nutrition, lifestyle is a huge part of the recovery process for going through a breakup or any other kind of transition or stress in your life. So, all right, we will reconvene in our next video. If anybody would like to get in touch with me, you can email me directly at info@emmifortin.com. That's EMMI. And my website is emmifortin.com. So we'll see you guys in the next video.
Okay.